Coming up, I'm going to teach you how to job hunt without your boss finding out, and then we'll unpack this new trend. Quiet firing? Oh, it's horrible. And we're going to coach you up. Don't move. Coaching you so you have the competitive edge to make more money and then experience more meaning in your week. So I'm all about increasing your income and increasing your impact. I'm Ken. The Ken Coleman Show is live. Let's go. All right. So, we are in this very interesting environment where everybody's looking now. I would love to see the data on this. This data does not exist. It never will exist. But it would be fun to see the data on how many people prior to the pandemic actively were looking for a job just because. Not because they were unhappy, but let me just see what's out there versus now, where we've got this unbelievable job market, despite the fact that you're hearing we're in a recession. We're in an eensy-teensy-weensy recession is what I like to call it. The fact of the matter is, with the August job report numbers out, unemployment's at 3.7%. There are 11 plus million jobs still available, and you got about 8.5 million people unemployed. So, in other words, we still have a situation where we have about a job and a half available for every person that's unemployed. And so what is that causing? Number one, inflation. Saw an article out today, Wall Street Journal, emphasizing the obvious, that the best way to get a pay bump now is to change jobs. Just to look at historically rates of raises, you're in the 3 to 5% on an annual basis that people would get a raise. But we're seeing people get as high as 15 to 20% bumps in pay when they change jobs. Okay. And so the reality is that this environment's been going on since 2021, end of 2020, 2021, they call it the Great Resignation. And we're still in a situation again where we've had 12 straight months of over 4 million people per month quitting their jobs. This is an extraordinary phenomenon. Well, as a result, when you've got, let's just think about that. When you've got 50 million people have changed jobs in the last year, that means people who stayed behind are like, well, man, maybe I should leave, right? So more than ever, my point is we have roving eyes. We just do. It is the nature of our humanness. We see other people get the better job. We start wondering, what would I have to do? And we're always looking. And that has increased. So the issue becomes, how do I look at something? I know I'm not where I'm supposed to be. This is who I'm teaching to today. You know you're not where you're supposed to be for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's a toxic work environment. Maybe there's a lid that's been placed on you. You can't really grow much more. Or maybe you're looking towards a better opportunity, which is a ladder that I need to be on to go where I want to go. No matter the situation, you know that you need to leave. And so you got to start looking, and then you're going to have to apply, and then you're going to have to interview, and you're going, how do I do that? Should I do that? Should I let my boss know? I've had some people call me up and say, Ken, should I let my leader know that I'm interviewing somewhere else? I said, no. Well, of course not. Why? Well, because you may not get it. They may get their feelings hurt. They may feel like you're disloyal. They may be an unhealthy leader or whatever, and then they penalize you. So you're not doing anything wrong, but there's a right way to look. So let's break that down. Number one, don't run your mouth around the office. Go ahead and adopt the idea that you can't trust anyone. Even if you feel like you can trust them, let's go ahead and assume we cannot trust anyone. Just for this moment. Meaning, don't tell your coworkers, don't tell a client that you're looking somewhere else. I mean, you may think that you're safe to do so, and they are all excited because they've got a salacious piece of gossip that they can't wait to share. Don't tell anybody. Keep it to yourself. And again, I want to point something out here as I walk through these things. In this situation, being quiet isn't about being secretive because you're doing something wrong. It's about being smart. It's not about being secretive. It's about being smart. All right, second thing I want you to do, or don't do it, rather. First is don't run your mouth around the office about it. Keep it to yourself. Number two, don't assume you could trust anyone in the office, even a friend, or be careful with even your friends who may know coworkers. So we're going a little bit step further than the first way. Keep it to yourself around the office, but I would keep it to yourself with even some of your close friends as well. Because you never know who they're going to run into. You share very similar circles. You just don't want it getting out at all. I mean, we're locking this down. State secret stuff, all right? Number three, the right way to do this is to not lie to your current boss as to why you may need some time off or why you're out of the office. This is the quickest way to get in hot water and blow the whole thing up. Here's what I mean. There are times you're going to have to do in-person interviews. You need to make sure that you're taking personal time for that. You make sure that you're using your lunch hour. Even if it's a 9 a.m. interview, you don't take lunch that day. The point is, don't steal from your current employer by using their time by which they're paying you for you to go sneak around and have a little romance with somebody else. Let's do the right thing. So personal time, vacation time, whatever you got to use. Don't lie about being sick. The point is don't lie. Use your personal time because that's your personal time. I've got to take care of something. Yes, you do. It's your personal time. Go do it. But don't cheat. Don't lie because that comes back to bite you. So don't steal from them. Don't fill out job applications and do interviews on company time. That's the simple takeaway. All right, now, final piece of advice. I would use references from past jobs, okay, not your current job, unless you can look at that employer and go, hey, listen, I want to leave well, and I want to be able to communicate this. I'm not even sure I'm going to get the job. I'm in the application process, and when the time comes, if you feel like you really like me and you're going to check with my current leader, I would like to give them the notice myself. But you know, these people understand that they could risk you losing your job or losing credibility if they contact your current leader in the process. So be a human being and explain that. Somebody asked me that once. What would you do? I'd look at them right in the eye and go, hey, listen, I know this isn't a done deal, and in no way am I trying to pressure you to commit to me. But can we look at all my other references? I've got a plethora of references by which you could check me out. And if we'd wait until you get to the point or you've made the offer and you can rescind the offer, talk to my current leader. Protect yourself. Be smart. Don't just, by the way, don't assume that they're going to protect you. They may not. Don't assume. Think about the situation that you're in and communicate like a human being. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, I've got this reference here, this reference here, this reference here. I'd like to be the one, if we ever get to this point, to communicate to my current leader. And I think that a healthy, sane person will do that. If they don't do that, hey, I just saved you a lot of heartache. Why would you want to go work for a psychopath who lies to your face? There you go. It's not hard, folks. Think about this stuff and communicate. All right, coming up, quiet firing, the cousin of quiet quitting. What is this nonsense? Where does it come from? We'll break it down next.
Do you know what you were born to do? In order to get hired at a job you love, you need to get clear on your talent, passion, and mission. That's why our team created the Career Clarity Guide. In just a few minutes, this free tool will walk you through a process to discover what you do best, that's your talent, the work you love to do, that's your passion, and the results that matter to you, your mission. Then you'll feel more confident throughout the job search process. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/clarity.
Of the people, by the people, for the people, I'm Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show, here to help you win. And by the way, you are in a competition, whether you want to be or not, whether you realize you are or not, you are competing. You're competing against yourself. That's yesterday's you. You're competing against people in the building. That doesn't have to be ugly and nasty competition, but understand, if I'm moving up, I'm competing. Inside, outside, I'm competing against myself. And we need to embrace this reality. I'm here to coach you up as you compete. Have you ever had a moment when you discovered something new and it changes your outlook? Maybe it was a new hobby or a new city or a new dish, new outfit, new car, what have you. Well, also, what about a new job? Can a new job change your perspective? It absolutely can, for the negative and for the better. That's why I endorse ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter.com/Ken is the website to go. It's a free service to you. They are your recruiter. You fill out a profile, and they begin to match you to companies who are paying them for access to you. And this is a great way for you to live your life, do your life, and not sit there and feel like you're filling out resumes and applications all day long. ZipRecruiter.com/Ken. Okay, so if you have not been under a rock, you've heard the term quiet quitting, right? This comes from TikTok and all this social media nonsense, and younger generations coming up with cute new ways to say the same old thing. So the quiet quitting, is all about, well, I'm only going to do the bare minimum. I'm tired of burning myself out. I'm not going to do anything more. I'm not going to go above and beyond. I'm only going to do what's asked of me. I'm going to go home. Like that's a badge of honor. All right. And it's just saying, I want to be average and only average. Leave me alone to wallow in my averageness. That's the reality, is what it is. So now here's a new term. Passive aggressive management techniques are being dragged uncomfortably into the spotlight. This is from Work Life News. What is quiet firing? Well, essentially, they are saying that when a manager avoids the discomfort of firing someone outright, they will use all different types of passive-aggressive tactics that have the same goal, to make the employee want to quit themselves. So it's basically mistreating a person to where they get to the point where they go, I'm out. That's what it is. In other words, we could call this the bad breakup. Now, I don't want to dredge up too many old feelings, but how many of you out there listening and watching have been broken up that way? Hey, I'm not going to make anybody raise their hands, right? But it's the bad breakup. It's where one person wants out of the relationship, but they can't bring it on themselves to actually make a clean break and say, all right, I want out. So what do? They start acting weird. They start confusing us, sending mixed signals, ignoring us, ghosting us, to use a term that the kids like to use. And so what do? You make a person so uncomfortable to the point they become miserable and they go, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm going to break up with you. And the other person's like, whew, I didn't have to deal with that. It's actually the most selfish thing you can possibly do. Instead of a clean break, you ended up splintering their heart. You think about all the negative emotions that happen in a relationship like this, all to get that person to leave when you could just go, hey, I'm just not that into you anymore. Yeah, that's going to hurt them. But there's a reason why we rip the Band-Aid off, not pull it off slowly. Anybody with me on that one? There's a reason. Both are going to hurt. But when I rip the Band-Aid off, the pain is faster and thus less intense, as opposed to, we've all been there before. Rip it off, baby. Rip it off, right? I mean, that's what needs to be happening in these bad breakups. Well, I give you the bad breakup metaphor because this is exactly what horrible bosses are doing. This is cowardly, and it is rooted in selfishness. See, being a coward is all about being selfish. Sarah Blankenship has a business focused on Gen X and career advice. She says it's an employer who doesn't want to necessarily fire someone because they don't want them to get unemployment benefits. That's a garbage bush league move. And they don't want to rock the boat in any shape or form. All right, so could be just trying to save the company a little money on unemployment benefits. You see this a lot in small businesses where every penny counts. It's also, well, they don't want to cause any kind of problems, which means you aren't enough of an adult to treat someone with enough dignity to give them a clean break and deal with whatever emotions and whatever comments come with that. But you're selfish. It's all about you. See, you don't want to put yourself, you horrible boss, in a uncomfortable situation, so you'll treat someone horribly. This is how we come up with the term horrible bossery. I made that up. You're exactly right. It is the act of being a horrible boss. I call it horrible bossery. So there you go. This year, there has been a 24% increase in the number of online searches for the phrase, how to fire someone. And a 180% jump in searches for when to fire someone. So this is how we know we have a leadership problem in America and quite frankly around the globe. When people go to the internet and search how to fire someone. Now I understand I write articles all the time and you can go search stuff and I've got articles out there. But when you're at a point where you're relying on an article on how to fire someone, it's because you're not using your brain. Here's a good rule of thumb, leaders, or for those of you who aren't leaders yet and one day you're going to have to fire somebody. You ready? How would you want to be fired? I know, it's mind-blowingly simple, isn't it? I'm really walking in some depth this morning. No, I mean, that's really it. How would you want to be fired? Write it down. Fire someone that way. I mean, you think about it for a second. How many of you have ever been fired before? Or maybe this kind of quiet firing where you're like, something's off, but I can't quite get my hands around what's off, but my boss is treating me differently. It ain't good. You know how it takes your dignity away. You're confused. You're misled. You're discouraged. All these things. Disengaged. It's a terrible thing to do. Absolutely terrible. We humans deserve a clean break. Listen to this. Here's what they're doing. This is what it looks like. You give people really crappy assignments all the time. Leave them out of important email threads or meetings. Or you just overload them to the point that they feel like they're drowning. This is a form of mental and emotional torture. It really is. I'm not exaggerating here. Because this just kills the soul. There was a LinkedIn post about quiet firing where other workers shared their own experiences. I wanted to read this one testimony. One person went on and said, I was quiet fired by a practice manager and the CEO of our practice. It was the worst experience ever. I had my responsibilities stripped away from me and given to the CEO's daughter-in-law and received a $5 an hour pay cut. That is an attack on someone's dignity. Leaders, it's okay to fire people. It really is. It's part of life. But you can still fire someone and treat them with dignity. Because when you quiet fire someone, let me tell you something, you devalue them. And that's extremely personal. Well, was it personal? Yes, it became personal because you didn't put your big boy pants on and you didn't put your big girl pants on and have enough respect and dignity for that person to look them in the eye and tell them the truth. Here's what I know about human beings. Good or bad, no matter what we say, the truth is we want to be clear of where we stand. We want to know where we stand. We hate ambiguity. We hate the unknown. It's agonizing. It tears us apart. You know this. So even if it's the bad news, it's like, hit me with it, man. Give it to me. Give me the bad news. I'd rather hear a no than not hear anything at all. Anybody else out there with me on that? And that speaks to our humanness. Come on, leaders. This quiet firing is nothing more than cowardly firing. You want to lead? You're going to have to do some hard stuff. Put your big boy pants on and do it.
Did you know that recruiters take an average of 6 seconds to scan a resume? And that's if they ever see it in the first place. In fact, 75% of resumes are rejected before reaching a hiring manager. Listen, folks, if you want to get hired, you've got to make your resume worth noticing. That's why we created How to Write the Perfect Resume. This free guide will walk you through the 5 steps to stand out in the hiring process to get you your dream job. If you want to get started, go to kencoleman.com/resume.
Hey!
So what are the most regretted college majors? And then, have millennials proven to us that a college degree may not be worth it? We're going to unpack that in just a moment. But first, this is perfect. In our YouTube chat room, so if you're watching live on YouTube, let me just say, hey, how you doing? Love you. YouTube crazies right here. I'll do a little paper crinkle for you fine folks in just a moment. But we have a question in the chat room next to the video window, and I'm going to take this because it's very relevant to what I'm about to cover on college. Brandon Davis writes, Ken, would it be stupid to drop out of college my junior year? I'm an accounting major, and I have a fully paid for scholarship. So would it be stupid to drop out of college junior year to pursue a career I feel more passionate about? I really don't see myself as an accountant. What do you think my answer to that is, Brandon? The answer is no, it's not stupid to drop out. Oh, wait a second, Ken. You're giving this young man, he's got a full ride. He's got 3 years in the books. Why wouldn't he just finish? Okay, how about I answer your question with a question? Brandon says, after 3 years, nose in the books on accounting, he knows he doesn't want to go into accounting. He's already got another path. He did not tell me what it was. I wish I knew what it was, but he didn't tell me. Okay? My question for those of you who think this is silly advice or cavalier, why would he stay? Well, because, Ken, he's got a full ride. He can do it. He can do it another year. I don't know why I'm talking like that. That's just the attitude of the person that I can hear me griping with me about that. You don't think outside the box. Your whole world is inside a box of expectations, which comes from the cultural lie that the only way to be successful is with a college degree, which is a bunch of crap. So if we stop thinking like kids like Brandon are dropouts and losers, and we go, wait a second, Brandon knows what he wants to do. He knows why he wants to do it. He knows how he's going to do it. So why don't we applaud the young man? Oh, because, Ken, he needs to get a 4-year degree. Somebody might want that on his resume. I trust Brandon. I think he knows how to get where he wants to go. So, Brandon, very few people will give you permission. You didn't need it. I'm giving it to you. I absolutely would walk. This is the given that you've done the research on the direction you want to go and what you're going to need to get there, and I'm assuming you have. But another way to kind of walk through this, if anybody else was wondering, well, what would I walk through with him if I was sitting face-to-face with him, I'd look at what are you going to do your last year? What college courses, what credits are you getting? How do those apply to anything outside? Would it be bad for him to stay? No. Would it be great because his parents probably want to see him walk across the platform? Probably. But I you know what? I love and honor my parents. But I did the same thing, in case anybody wants to know. Okay? I was in college, and I was in for political science. I wanted to work on campaigns, get into the government, jump out, eventually run for office. That was the path I was on. And I got an opportunity to work on a congressional race and a U.S. Senate race during school, and I took both of them. When I came back, I was a zombie in class because I had tasted the real world. I had tasted the battlefield, and now I was coming off the front lines of the battlefield and being put in a desk position, and it sucked. And then I got another opportunity to go work on a U.S. Senate race, and I did it again, and came back to college again, and I came back off the front lines and sat at the desk again, and I go, this really sucks. And I realized I don't need the degree in political science. I've already been hired to do what I do, and I'm good at it, and they want me back. So you know what I did? I said, I'm out. And I called my mom and dad, and Ken and Barb, God bless them. They were distraught. They were very cool about it, but you could tell they were emotionally distraught. You're dropping out of college to go work on this race? Yeah, Dad, I got an opportunity to work for Jim Gilmore. He's running for governor. And if he wins, Dad, I'm going to get an incredible job working for the governor of Virginia. But I've got to drop out of Liberty. And my parents were like, you're dropping out of college? And I went, I'm dropping out. And I'm going after the thing that has been on my heart for a long time. And I got a great job and I make really good money. And guess what? I did. And and I was working for the governor at the age of 23, and nobody looked at me and said, "You're a loser. You're a college dropout, loser." And until I tell people on the air, which I don't do very often, people assume maybe that I have a degree. I don't, and I'm proud of it. Why? Because I didn't need it, and I got a jump start on my life. I know, mind-blowing. All right, here we go. That was an unexpected rant. All right, we're going to move through this really quick because I'm a man of the people, by the people, for the people. Here we go. Washington Post. Almost half of humanities and arts majors regret their choice. Duh. I'm taking a little too much joy in this article, I admit. But this is because I've been telling you folks. And the enrollment in those disciplines is shrinking rapidly. Duh. Nearly 2 in 5 American adults have regrets about their college major. Duh. Meanwhile, half of humanities and arts majors have studier's remorse. On the contrast, engineering majors have the fewest regrets. Only 24% of those who got an engineering degree wish they had chose something different. The regret among humanities and arts majors explains why humanities and graduates are dying breed. You're right. According to historian and digital humanist Ben Schmidt, the numbers have dropped by 50%, and there's no sign they're going to rebound. That means the numbers of people that are signing up for majors in the humanities and history and those type of things in the arts, dropping big time. Disciplines such as English and religion graduated less than half as many students as they did in the early 2000s. All right, that's all I want to cover on that because that's just the sheer data, right? Why? Let me tell you why. Because those majors don't lead to great professions, and people are looking at it going, I'm going to spend 4 years, and I go get a humanities degree from some uppity, school where your pinky goes up when you have a sip of a beverage, and you come out and you're under the weight of student loans, and you're not making any money, and there's no upward mobility. Now, Forbes article. And this dovetails right into what I just talked about. Millennials are the first generation to prove a college degree may not be worth it. Despite being the most educated generation to date, graduating college did not put them in better financial shape than older cohorts at their age. A new working paper from the National Bureau of Economic Research compares the financial prospects of millennial college class of 2013 and that of Gen X college class of 1996. That would have been my graduating class if I had graduated, but I dropped out of college, in case you keep it score at home. So I am actually in the data here. And by the way, I'm 48. I know. I don't look that old. I know. It's clean living. Let's see. The mismatched jobs typically pay less than the matched jobs, where total earnings are 12% higher for the 96 grads and 34% higher for the 2013 grads. So basic, all that to say, millennials working mismatched jobs were earning less than the Gen Xers in the same position at their age. And so that's the idea of, well, I got a degree in this, but I don't really want to do it. Or I got a degree this, and then I went over here and did something different. That's the mismatched jobs. So the value of the college degree has fallen. And it doesn't spell good news for Gen Z because they're paying attention to this. Millennials were more likely to have student loans than their Gen X counterparts. 41% of millennials have student loans versus 18% of Gen X. Millennials, along with Gen Z, were most likely to say that student loans have held them back from making important financial choices. You're right. 31% of 2013 grads were also living at home with their parents than the 25% of 96 grads. So here's the deal. The word is getting out. All that data just simply means millennials are talking and Gen Z's paying attention. And you want to know why college enrollment, including community college enrollment rates, are plummeting? Because the ROI ain't there.
Did you know that just like a product, you have a personal brand? It's the image or impression others form about you based on your interactions. And whether we realize it or not, our personal brand impacts opportunities to grow in our careers. That's why our team created the Personal Brand Survey. It's free, and it will give you personal and professional feedback so you can own your strengths and uncover any blind spots holding you back. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/brand.
Coaching men and women up to live a life of meaning, enjoying their Monday mornings because they're going into work doing something they're good at, they're doing something they enjoy, and they're creating results that matter to them. And oh, by the way, they're making plenty of money. It's time for our coaching segment, 844-747-2577. Luciano is in Greenville, North Carolina. You're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, thanks, Ken, for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. How can I help today?
So, 26 years old. I got an MBA for no apparent reason whatsoever. Took on a new role. Six-figure base salary sales job. And, I took your Get Clear assessment, and the job, though the money's good, does not align with what I truly want to do, and I need some advice.
All right, great. What is it that you want to do?
I'm a car guy by heart. I'm wrenching every day after work. I do the 9 to 5, and then I'm truly excited to get out in that garage and rip something apart.
Oh, I love that, dude. I've
been restoring cars for a while, but it's always been a hobby, and everybody said you can't do it, you got to go to school. And
yeah, right. But you now know that's a bunch of crap on the other side of all that school and an MBA.
Yes.
How much money are you making?
Making $100,000.
Okay, so here's where we start. Okay, we're going to try to build a path in our just few minutes we have together. I'm not going to be able to get it there, but I'm going to give you the way to build the path. The first thing we say is, all right, where can I make $100,000 restoring cars? That's where we start. We just go, okay, What's the future look like? Let's find some mountaintops. Because the reality is, if I gave you $100,000 guarantee today to restore cars, how quickly would you quit? Today. All right. So we got to go, all right, what is it going to take to make the kind of living that I need to make restoring cars? So there's two simple ways that we would get there. One, we work for somebody else, or eventually we work for us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So in your area, I don't know how many great restoration body shops there are, but you do. Or you can find out before the sun goes down today, correct?
For sure.
Great. So we're going to employ the proximity principle, all right, which is a best-selling book that I wrote that is a deep dive on connections. The proximity principle says in order to do what Luciano wants to do, which is car restoration, body work, all that jazz, he's got to be around people that are doing that and in places where that is happening. So I want you to first make some connections, just guys that are running body shops. And you can go up to them and go, hey, man, I just want you to know I'm a gearhead. Every day at the end of my day job, I'm in there messing around on a new car. Right now, I'm working on a 52 Studebaker. I made that up. Or whatever. And you go, hey, I want to eventually, I make 100, I make six figures right now. I want to eventually cross over. Can I take you to coffee or lunch sometime and you just tell me what that path would look like if you were me? You see where I'm going here?
And I know the people in those industries,
bet
unfortunately.
You do. So. And they're all your buddies, and I would lean on them to say, what path does it look like? So, for instance, is there a position in one of those shops that pays $80? So could you take that position and find a way to make $20, $25 on the side as a transition? Or do you need to go get a few welding qualifications and some stuff that you already kind of know how to do it, but if you take a couple of classes and things on the side while you keep the $100,000 day job, you get a little bit further qualified to come in and maybe you're making $100,000 right out of the gate in a shop that really needs somebody. And let me tell you something, in the trades right now, and it may be true in the body shop world, they're dying to get people who actually want to do the work.
I know.
So don't overcomplicate
the money.
Yeah, but listen, don't overcomplicate this. So you may have to do it on the side, part-time, for some people, maybe your own clients, or maybe extra work for a body shop that can't afford you, or you can't pay you what you need. Maybe it's that way. but eventually you're going to work. So you're going to at least start working for yourself or for somebody else part-time, and you move into a full-time position, or maybe you can get qualified while you're making $100,000 to walk in there. But it's not really complicated. Am I right?
You're right.
And the fact of the matter is, you can make $100,000 doing that work. Easy.
Oh, for sure.
Easy.
Yeah, you just got to find the right opportunity.
You got to find the right opportunity. So maybe you stay in your day job and you save up some cash. Let me give you one other fun way, because I watch all these shows on Netflix all the time. I'm not a gearhead, but I love old cars. I got a 72 convertible Carmen Ghia in my garage right now. All right? Had it restored. Obsessed with restoration. Maybe you go flip a couple cars with cash, and you start kind of making a little bit of money there. So maybe you save up 30, 40 grand, and that's kind of a floating fund as you take your first full-time job for somebody else. Here's the deal. Stay on the line. I'm going to give you my book, The Proximity Principle. It is the deep dive to getting connected, which is where we get opportunities. Luciano, I'm so excited for you.
So you just landed the new job. Congratulations. You've made it past the interviews, and now it's time to onboard with excellence. That's why I created How to Stand Out at Your New Job. This free checklist will help you succeed from day one and may even help you get promoted. These practical steps set you up to add value, help your team win, exceed your leader's expectations, and ultimately set you up for a successful transition. To get started, just go to kencoleman.com/new.
All right, folks, every day on the show, I take calls and I help people win in their work so they can win in their life. But the reality is I have just a few short minutes, and many of us need a deep dive with a coach. Not just one deep dive, but a consistent deep dive. I've said this many times. I'll say it again. I believe every one of us needs a coach in multiple areas of our life. Let me put it this way. If you are serious about growth, personal growth, and winning financially, winning relationally, winning physically, winning professionally, you need a coach. An ongoing, consistent, maybe for seasons, maybe you back off some seasons, but you need a coach. And that's why we've created the Ramsey Career Coaching roster. These are men and women, very professional. They've been doing this a long time. All certified. I've gotten to meet all of them. I vetted them. So if you're interested in getting a coach to take you to the next level where I cannot take you, go to kencoleman.com/coaching, kencoleman.com/coaching. All right, let's go to Topeka, Kansas. Luke is there. Luke, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello, how's it going?
Luke, I'm living the dream. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, better than I deserve.
Oh, okay, there's a Dave Ramsey guy. How can I help today?
Yeah, right. Well, I got a quick question for you. So I recently started a position at a new company in the HR and accounting division. Spent the first 3 months shadowing my predecessor, kind of learning what they do every day. And then the last 3 months, I've taken it under control for my own self, and it was kind of two completely different things. What I was trained for and what I do now do not link up. And what I do now is kind of not what I interviewed for. It's the same thing, but way more than what they had said it was going to be. So I feel a little overworked. Feel like if they would have explained it to be this way in the interview process, I would have asked for a little bit more money. But I was under the impression I was starting in an entry-level HR job, where now I'm the full-time HR director and a controller.
What changed?
It's like, I love the experience.
What changed?
The intensity. When I was working for my predecessor or shadowing her, the maintenance and the things that she had been doing for the last 40 years for the company were kind of expected of her, things that kind of were found as a reoccurring thing. And they were almost done so often that she had forgotten to even explain them in the training. And so when everything was kind of being put together for me, set up on the tee, I could hit the ball out of the park. But now it's like, oh, you step up in the major leagues and you're hitting 95 miles per hour now, and you're having to do everything in the background work.
Well, what changed? What changed as a result? What changed as it relates to you coming in as a entry-level HR person? That's what I'm most curious about. And now all of a sudden you're in charge of it all. What changed there?
Well, and I recently graduated college, 2022. And so I networked through the university and was able to make some good connections and find a good private company to come and get some entry-level experience for. And that was kind of what it was portrayed as in the interview process.
Right, but what I'm saying is did you come in and the only person in HR was your predecessor, and then once she left? Okay, so the reason that you're in charge of it all is because you're the only one there. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Right. And so now it's a real small operation. Let me explain.
Okay.
I'm the only one in HR now because my predecessor left due to sort of a resignation from health conditions that had to do with her memory. And so when it comes to memory and accounting and clerical work, those things don't go hand in hand.
Right, of course. Okay, so do you really feel like you were misled, or do you feel like a few circumstances changed, and because of your predecessor having to leave for health reasons, this small company is just kind of next man up? That's I'm trying to, because my advice is going to be based on what you feel and what you believe. Right. So do you think you were truly misled, or do you think that this has been mismanaged as a result of some changes?
So my biggest idea, or what I think about it, is that I feel like they have a lack of a plan. And when it came to this woman and finding someone to relieve her, that not necessarily one person was just to take over the position for someone that had been there for 35 years.
Right.
And so when they come in and explain it as as something that would be simple and an easy transition, turned into, because now it's turned into having to train while I'm at work. And so now I can't get work done. I'm getting behind because I'm having to retrain. Right. So that predicament. So they've given you I feel like it was a mismanagement, understanding that you're going to get a college graduate to come in and get someone to do something that someone had done for the last 40 years. I 100%
agree. But so that is important for you as you deal with these emotions to understand. I don't think you've been misled. I do think that this was poorly managed, very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, it just feels more like negligence.
100%. Well, I don't think they appreciated what all the work is, but the good sign is they've agreed you needed training and you're getting training. The bad sign is that there's no one else to do the actual work itself, so while your training work's piling up. And so what's going on is you're very frustrated right now. You feel like you're spinning your wheels.
Right, and it's not that I have any doubt in myself as an individual. I'm very confident, obviously, taking on this task as somebody that's a young individual in the field.
I get it. I think your attitude's great. So here's the question. Do you want to stay in this role or not?
Well, right now, I'm far from home, and the more that they overwork me and the more that I feel like I'm they understood what this woman did for 40 years was almost the backbone of this company.
Yeah.
And when I come in, I feel like I'm a little undervalued now with how much responsibility I have versus what they. All
right, so let me ask you.
Still as an entry level individual,
I get it,
and so it's making me want to move. It's like, the loyalty aspect. Like, why would I want to work hard for someone that necessarily isn't going to work hard for me?
Right. Okay. So again, the question I asked you is, do you want to stay in this job? And you gave me a roundabout answer, sound like a congressman on Meet the Press on Sunday morning. And I think I know the answer. So let me ask it a different way. And this is a yes or no answer. If I called them today and said, hey, look, guys, I need you to do this, this, and this for Luke, and they gave you a 20% bump, they went and hired a part-timer or somebody else underneath.
That's a good way to put it.
I know. That's why I do what I do. Would you stay if I got those changes?
I would say that there's not a monetary value that would make my life any less miserable doing the job that I'm doing right now. I think that it's not necessarily more money isn't going to make me happier. I just think that they need to improve this department.
But Luke, listen,
they need to improve this department. But no, so
Luke,
under the current framework, no, not me.
Luke, if you didn't hear the second part of the question, if I gave you the 20% plus, you got support and you got some help to offload a lot of this stuff, would you stay, yes or no?
Yeah, I would.
All right, then. So now that tells you what you should do. You called in going, what do I do? That's what you do. You have to sit down with them and say, guys, I need you to hire a person who will do this, this, and this. Don't go into them and give them some, well, I just need more help. No, you got to sit down with them and go, hey, I'm getting trained right now. As a result of getting trained, this, and this. Be specific. These tasks, these functions, or this role, I'm unable to fill. So what I need you to do is hire someone to do this task, or fill this role to support me while I'm getting trained to be your senior HR person. If you guys do that, I can stay. If you can't, I understand. No hard feelings, but this is no way to live, and I'm going to have to move on. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, loud and clear. That's
exactly how you got to handle this. You don't have an attitude. You're not walking in all pissy and, your feelings hurt like a snowflake. You're going to go in like an adult and go, hey, here's the deal. All right? I want to be here. But this changes, this changes. I'm good. I stepped up, but it's killing my quality of life. It's making it almost impossible. I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hydrant. So then, and you go into my little example that I gave you, and you lay it out, and they go, okay. Because now they're confronted with a guy who's not being a jerk, who's not griping and complaining, who's not even asking for more money. You just said, I need help. And let's see how they respond. Because if you walk, they got to fill your position. That puts them in a tough situation. So I think you have leverage. Just keep a sweet spirit about you, a spirit of hunger and humility, and I think you're going to come out really good. I'd keep you. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.